Hey gang, it's been a minute. How's your end of the year been? It's been interesting, to say the least. I guess to be completely honest, 2023 was probably the worst year of my life. Not exaggerating, not trying to be overdramatic, but honestly, throughout, a lot of terrible things happened. And I couldn't be more grateful that it's finally coming to an end. Although not all of these circumstances have changed, mind you, I do think that I'm in a lot better place now than I was at the beginning of the year. Despite this being a terrible year personally, I do think a lot of good has happened, and instead of focus on the bad, I wanted to rather focus on the things I actually enjoyed about this year, to try to leave things off on a positive spin, as well as talk about some plans I have for the coming year. I've divided this into sections, mostly things that I've done on the internet that I've enjoyed and that I wish to share with all of you. It was actually a great year for YouTube for me. I made 10 videos, I did one short and one live stream, and that was between two different YouTube channels, both this one here and my second channel as well. That's probably the most videos that I have made in any year, which is... I mean, that is kind of funny, but it's also been the higher quality of videos, and I think that's reflected in both the views and the people that have come here. I think my channel started out at about like 38 subscribers, and now we're almost at 400 in the year, and it's really over like 2 to 3 videos that have actually done well. It's kind of crazy. So I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the videos that I thought were important and that greatly impacted this channel. Starting in January 19, it was the Halo Rant, which still sits as my most popular video ever. And I couldn't have ever expected that. I honestly find it incredible that it was just, like I said, starting this year, I was in a very bad place. And on top of that, Halo sucked. And Halo's one of my favorite video game franchises ever. So it was just a time where I let all of my emotions out one night, and I just kind of, as I'm doing right now, I rambled into a mic, I put up some old footage of some Halo MCC clips I had, and I expected nothing of it. I wake up the next morning, it's got about 1,000 views, it's getting comments, I'm like, that's crazy, that's the first video on the main channel to ever blow up. I've had some success on my second channel, but like, I haven't seen any videos get past like 300 views here. This is kind of cool. And then it just kept going up and up. And then Marty O'Donnell comments on my video, and I'm freaking out, and I'm like, Marty knows I exist? And what? And all of a sudden my subs are going up and everything, just numbers are going up. Pure dopamine rush. And it was exciting. I mean, it was really cool. And it inspired me to actually start making videos consistently. From February 2nd to April 21st, I had my first video discussion series. I don't think they were very well edited, but I am still proud of them for a few reasons. They're very similar to a video I made about 2 years ago, talking about the difference between giving up on your friends and letting them go after time has passed. I really appreciated that video because despite the minimal effort, I have a lot of ideas and kind of beliefs that are relatively non-controversial and non-political, and they're just kind of like, shower thoughts that I kind of cook up, and I wanted to share more of those just to see if I could give any type of insight or just maybe some advice that might help someone down the road. YouTube for me has always been this goal that no matter how popular a video is, as long as it reached and impacted at least one person in some way, maybe it made them laugh, made them feel a little bit better, that's always been the goal. And to me, as long as one person gets affected positively, I feel like I did my job. I feel like I succeeded. Despite whatever the view count is, I was able to make 3 of the videos in this discussion format with Slime Rancher gameplay in the background. I believe that I talked about treating yourself in the third person. This is advice that I actually need to remind myself constantly, because oftentimes, we talk to ourselves negatively, we call ourselves idiots, all of our insecurities come out, and we have a lot of hateful self-talk. And I do feel like the first step towards respecting ourselves and actually cultivating self-love is by removing that self-talk and treating ourselves as a friend. That's why I made the term treat yourself in the third person, because treating yourself like you're someone else, you would never say that to someone you actually care about. So it was stuff along the lines like that. I also talked about just some of my friends and how despite that things weren't going well, I believed things were going to be okay in the future. And I still believe that. I still share those sentiments. In April 12th, I finally made a upload on my second channel, and it was my Lunacid First Impressions. It was a very different style video. It was kind of inspired by a lot of the videos I had been seeing, like Iron Pineapple's Souls-like series, where he typically kind of plays through the first part of the game and gives an impression. I saw him play Lunacid, and I decided to make like the same video, and hopefully it was a little more transformative. I do notice that he cut a lot of the beginning parts out. I mostly just wanted to keep the first hour of the game, so I didn't spoil too much, but tried to highlight all of its strengths, because Lunacid honestly is an incredible game, and I hope to eventually make a video about it. We're going to be talking about the game later, but it was nice to make a video that was a different style of content that I was still proud of. And it was also different since my second channel is usually filled with memes, so this was the first one that wasn't just memes. But going back to memes, on July 11th, I made a funny video with friends. It was playing a Roblox gas station. I finally get to highlight some of my friends, and I believe how funny they are. I have a lot of recordings of them, and if I had the time, I would make all of them in the videos, and unfortunately I just don't. Although there are a few that I still have kind of on the back burner that if I ever do find that time, I'm so gonna finish editing and put them up there, because they're great memories, and I love, for my second channel, I believe that was the point, was even though I experiment sometimes, my main goal with the second channel was to post videos of my friends goofing off, and just to keep those memories more of an archive. It's not so much to gain views, gain popularity. I mean, I feel like the funny friend moments and gameplay highlights, like the Vanoss style videos, are so oversaturated on YouTube nowadays. My goal was never to try to somehow make it in that market. It was mostly just, I like making videos with friends, and I like looking back at them to reminisce about the fun times we had. So it was fun to make one of those videos, and hopefully one day I get the time to make more of those, but we'll have to see. September 22nd was when I made the Castlevania video. This was probably the biggest moment for me on my YouTube channel, because although it's not my most viewed video, obviously that goes to my Halo video, and it's probably going to be that way for a long time, the Castlevania video was my first one that I really put a lot of time and dedication into. Despite working a full-time job, I said, fuck it, I am going to put my all into this video, and I did, and I'm so proud of it. It took me about a month to put together, but even if you look through my community tab for the ones I kept up, I had a roadmap, I was following it consistently, I would, stay up countless nights just so I got it right, and I really am proud of that video. I do think the audio is a little too loud. There's some sections that could have been more well edited, especially near like the last 5 to 10 minutes of the video. I was getting close to my deadline. I was getting hella burnout. I'm like, it's not going to be perfect. I just need to put it out there. But I did about 6 drafts on the script. I followed it to a T, and I am very proud of the editing style. And I think it really made me realize the type of videos I want to make on this channel. I don't just want to make a bunch of 10-minute low effort videos. As much as I was having fun with the weekly slab content, and I'm not barring myself from that, but I'm not as proud of that nearly as much as I am of that one Castlevania video. Even if I were only to post once every 3 months, once every half a year, I would rather do that and make videos that are of that level of quality, that type of video essay that really sparked discussion. And I think that's what I noticed was, obviously it was a more controversial video because it was about race swapping, and a series that it honestly has been met with more controversy than universal praise, but it was still fun to speculate and to put my kind of 2 cents down and see the theories I had that were right, some that weren't. I also really appreciate the comments that came in criticizing the video on what could have been better, some information that may have not been fully correct. Those mean the most to me, because that's what helps me really improve my videos moving forward. And I had a lot of funny comments, and as I'm talking, I'm gonna put up a few of these. These were just gems, man. They made my day. I don't think anyone knows, but hate comments make my day. They are so funny, and I love that. I love them. Like, I can never take them seriously. They just make me smile. And sometimes I just want to make controversial videos just so I can see, like, hot takes, just so I could see these comments. They're so funny. So yeah, there was a lot I learned from this video, and I was so glad that I made it. Although it was the final video that I believe that I posted, November 21st was the first live stream on YouTube. I used to do Twitch streams like a while ago, but they were whatever. But this live stream, I actually did put effort into, which is kind of ironic because, I mean, look at it. Welcome, everybody, to the first official stream on the channel. It's loud, but at the same time, I mean, I had it all set up. It took me an hour. I was like, all right, I need my webcam audio so that the mic's bad. I'm gonna, you know, put the distortion up to max to just blow everyone's ears out. I'm gonna, like, deep fry my fucking camera. I want to play this video with Abby, and, it was a great live stream. I had a lot of fun interacting with some friends that joined. Thank you to everyone that did. And yeah, I don't know. It was more experimenting, obviously, because I was like, what if I do start live streams? Because I'm always playing games. Like, if I'm going to be honest, if I'm not working and if I'm not video editing, which I haven't in the past few months, I'm probably just playing a game that I'm addicted to. And so I might as well stream it, right? Because it could be fun. So I was trying to experiment, see what it'd feel like, and it was enjoyable. We'll see where it's at moving forward. I don't have any towels, so like it is what it is, but we'll start the bath stream. That was kind of my YouTube side of things. We're going to move into video games, and we're going to focus on 6 games I beat, since that's all I beat this year. As much as I played a lot of games, it was mostly online. I didn't play as many single player to campaign experiences. So there were 6 games total that I beat, and then I'm going to bring up some honorable mentions of games that kind of fit in different categories. On February 14th, I beat a game called Ib. Ib is like an RPG horror game. It was very popular way back when, and you'll see like old Markiplier Let's Plays and people like him that kind of played the game. I always really liked Ib, but I never got to play it, and I don't know if it was the beginning of this year or the end of last year, they made a remake of the game-ish. And at first it was only in Japanese, so when I bought it, I couldn't play it anyways. But in 2023, they finally made a English patch. And so I was on a call with one of my old friends that I've known for a while, and we were scrolling through my games they wanted to watch, and they were like, let's play Ib. So we played through it, and even though it was my first time playing it, it felt familiar, kind of nostalgic, since I used to watch a lot of Let's Plays, and it was a lot of fun. It's got some pretty decent puzzles. I still think the story holds up. It's really a standard for what RPG horror games should try to strive to be. Less on the RPG aspect and more on the actual scares and the puzzles that get you through each level. Now, to be fair, this game, even though I beat it, I didn't like beat it. I did get one ending that I found satisfying. I looked a bit through the gallery, and then I kind of closed the book. But this game is one that I do believe they encourage multiple playthroughs to get different endings, to further expand the gallery. And I do plan on going back to it eventually, probably sometime next year. But for now, I was very satisfied with that playthrough. On April 10th, I beat the NES Castlevania, the very first one. Now this game, it probably only takes about an hour to get through if you know what you're doing. It took me about 5, because holy shit, old games are so hard, and even though I've played this game before in the past, I forgot how fucking difficult Dracula is. I remember when I was playing it, and my friends were watching on stream, they were laughing their ass off because I couldn't fucking kill Dracula. I was looking up guys, I was getting like all this shit in, but he's so fucking tough in 1, and it was so satisfying to finally get him. It took me about 2 hours to beat him. I really had to stick with it, and it was a fun game. Honestly, I love the Castlevania series in general. I was planning on playing all of the games, but, spoiler alert, I just played this one. But it does definitely encourage me. I want to get through and beat all the others in the collection, because they're incredibly challenging but rewarding games. 3 is still my favorite. That's the one I always go back to, but I do have a new appreciation for the first one that started it all. Moving forward, September 1st. Now, obviously, we're jumping quite a few months from Castlevania to this next one, but that's because this one, unlike taking 5 hours or 3 hours to complete, was Vampire Survivors. And even though I consider getting to the end credits beating it, that's not when I stopped playing. I beat Vampire Survivors on September 1st when I got those end credits, but there were other achievements I wanted to get. And so I kept playing the game. And then the game got new updates and DLC, and I kept playing those, and I'm still playing it to this day, and I'm sitting at about 90-ish hours. It is a new style of roguelike that you kind of just walk around and collect gems to level up, and it's all about doing big damage numbers. And I'd say, like, out of what sets it apart from different roguelikes is instead of, like, insanely complicated mechanics and learning combat, it's make numbers go big. And I love those games. And like, I think all of my friends have said when they watch it that, like, after watching me play that game, they would never take me to a casino because it's true. It's true. Like, I'd have such a gambling problem, and that game is all about flashy colors and slots on the chests, and I love that game so much. Vampire Survivors was probably my favorite game of the year. It was so fucking fun. I love making numbers go big. Obviously, the Castlevania aesthetic helped it too, but it's an incredible game. And I've been playing a lot of different roguelikes like it. I started playing Hollow Cure, Death Must Die, 20 Minutes Till Dawn. I love that genre of games. It's slowly becoming one of my favorites. And, you know, maybe I'll get further in those and eventually talk about them one day in one video. Who knows? But yeah, that was a game that I beat then. Jumping to November 15th, I played Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare. And the reason why I played this was because of the release of the new Modern Warfare 3 and how much I fucking hate it. No, I didn't play it. I watched through cinematic trailers, let's plays, and sure, taking someone's word for it versus playing it yourself is one thing, but I did play Modern Warfare 2, the new one, and I also wasn't super impressed. I also played 2019 Modern Warfare, and it was promising, but I still had issues with it. 2, the only thing I liked was its characters. And its gameplay wasn't bad, but the story was kind of just off. And 3 has nothing to offer. I don't need to tell you. No one is defending Modern Warfare 3's campaign. They took the very few things good about Modern Warfare 2's campaign and said, fuck it, it's gone. You like the characters? Now there is no character. Now we're gonna kill off a fan favorite character because fuck you. And it really pissed me off, so I was so mad that I wanted to go back, because I actually do like the old Call of Duty games, and I like them for their campaigns mostly, not so much their multiplayer. And so I was like, wow, I want to go back, because of how mad these new games are making me, I'm going back to the original Modern Warfares to see what made them so special. And typically, Modern Warfare, the first one, is the one I usually skip. I usually just go to 2 and 3 because the action-packed and all the crazy shit that happens, and, you know, Ghost and Roach and Yuri and all the new characters, Soap finally has a personality. But despite that, COD 4 actually had a lot of promise. Even though the story isn't as upfront, it's a bit more kind of to the side, a lot of big moments still happen, and they do establish a lot of core fundamentals in the gameplay loop, and the gameplay was extremely well tight-knit, and it reminded me that the person that made this campaign was the same person who made the Titanfall 2 campaign, which is one of the best campaigns just ever made, period. Also another top 10 game. I love Titanfall 2. And so kind of seeing those elements before he made Titanfall 2, seeing what he did in COD 4, it was really interesting and very, very fun to play through. I played it on Heroics, Halo Hardened? Is that it? The one that is before the hardest difficulty. The second hardest difficulty. And I'm glad I did that instead of the hardest, because I probably would have wanted to scream. There were definitely a few moments I even raged on the hardened version, but, you know, it was still a fun playthrough. I was planning on getting through Modern Warfare 2 after that, but I've honestly played that one quite a few times, so I didn't have as much motivation. But yeah, playing through COD 4 that I had only really beaten once before, it was nice to kind of revisit it and see what made these games just good. Moving on to November 22nd, I played The Class of '09. The Class of '09 is a visual novel with a crazy twist. Just imagine if all of 2010 YouTube was a video game. All the offensive humor, all the assholes, the absurdity. That's The Class of '09. It is like an anti-romance visual novel, and holy shit, it's so funny. I beat this entire game 100%. It got every ending in one sitting with my friends, and we had a blast laughing and just seeing how absurd this game is. Kyler was easily the best character. He was so fucking funny. So many quotes from Kyler, man. Like, he's so good.
Hey, Miss Lynn, sorry. Just got to school. I'm signing in late again.
In the middle of something here.
Oh, with the student? Nicole? Hey, I did the video. You better make good with that pool party plus one.
What video?
You don't remember? If I posted a viral video, you'd let me go with you?
What is this? Get out!
No, wait. It's only like a minute. See?
Yeah?
Yo, what's up? This is Kyler. Let's break this gay-ass photo lab.
Oh my god.
Fuck photography. It's for people who like animals.
The reason I started playing it is because the Class of '09 re-up, which is kind of like, I think, like a remixed remaster or something. I'm not too sure what it's like, but I know there's different endings, different pathways, and kind of new character dynamics that they added to the game. And I wanted to play the first one before I got into that one, because I saw some clips that were pretty funny and an animated short that was promoting the series, and I honestly have become a fan, for better or for worse. I kind of like the no fucks given. I like how creative it is, and even at moments, although in this original one, I wouldn't say it's like trying to have a message. It is mostly just for laughs and giggles. I do think there's some things that, like, maybe I'll make a video one day explaining that, and I'm not getting into that. We're moving forward, but, you know, fun game. The last game I beat this year was December 8th, Nasty Rogue. Nasty Rogue is a very small indie game. It is very reminiscent of the Soulsborne category, and Trove as well. It reminded me of Trove, but like, instead of an MMO, just a dungeon crawler, and it was very interesting. I started off on, I think the second hardest difficulty, playing as a rogue class, you know, note the name, but there are a few classes. There's Archer and Mage, but I didn't want to be a bitch, so I picked the melee class. The game definitely has some flaws. There isn't a lot of content. You can beat this game in probably like 2 to 3 hours, really, and that's trying to explore everything. A lot of the bosses are very trivial. They only have 2 or 3 movesets, and you can pretty much interact with them all the same way. Get a couple hits in, dodge, couple hits, dodge. There's not too much flow besides maybe the last boss, kind of. He was kind of tough, but it was mostly that he'd kill you in like one hit. So you had to be just really on your feet, and since I was the melee class, I had to get up in people's face, which did make the game more dynamic. After I did that, I played a couple hardcore runs, so I did keep playing it after I beat it, because there is still some charm in the gameplay, and getting different items and finding secret walls. It does have a lot of Souls mechanics brought into it, and knowing it was only made by one person, at least I believe it was only made by one person, I'm pretty impressed with what they were able to come up with. I know they're working on a sequel soon, but I think I got my fill of the game. It was a fun thing, and I bought it, I think, a couple of years ago, so I am fine. I'm happy that I finally got to it and beat it. Now to the honorable mentions. Lunacid. Lunacid was probably, besides Vampire Survivors, I'd say they are head-to-head on my favorite game this year. Lunacid, the reason why I don't put it in the category of beaten games is because technically I didn't beat it. At the time I played it, it was still in early access, and I got to the point where there was nothing left to do. But I had done literally everything. I got every little secret, every achievement up to that point that I could possibly get, and it was so fun. And I think the worst part about the game was that I couldn't finish it. Just after getting to a certain point and having it say, like, this is where the adventure ends for now, and I was like, no! I ended up running the Abyss Tower or whatever quite a few times trying to get some records on it. I was like a pure melee build, which is funny because it's not conventional at all. I was pure strength. I didn't have any speed, so I couldn't even get through the tower fast. Didn't have magic that much. It was at its lowest level, so although I could wield it, it was not that effective, and some enemies need to be hit by magic. So I mainly just used the great sword and the vampire sword and just kind of smacked around. But wow, this game was like everything I want. Like the PlayStation 1 type graphics, the Kingsfield combat, the kind of like Souls-like exploration. God, it was so amazing. And Akuma Kira has slowly become one of my favorite devs just ever. they make incredible games. And if you ever watch their live streams playing Shadow Tower and Castlevania Curse of Darkness, they're a very wholesome person too. I can't, just praise them enough. I look forward to going back to the game. As of now, it actually has been fully released. It has gone out of early access, and I can't wait to get to take the time to visit it and just see what it's like in all its glory. The next game is BattleBit Remastered. Now, this is obviously an online game, but I just wanted to kind of highlight it because it was one that I spent probably the most time in with friends. It was so fun. It's what Battlefield 2042 obviously should have been, but there's not much I could say that other people haven't said. BattleBit was an incredible game this year. One of the best, not because it did anything new or it innovated. To be honest, most of what made BattleBit good was just the fact that it did old stuff right. Like, it just did things right. Like, it's stuff that we've had for years, but it's also things that we've lost in modern gaming recently. The first thing I noticed was the proxy chat, the voice chat. Like, voice chat has just become this dead art in games past the 360, the Xbox 360. And it really bothers me because that's what I used to play online video games for entirely. I love interacting with the enemy team during lobby fights and yelling at them. I love the proxy chat of, and even though it can get toxic and, there's teabagging and there's being a dick. Yeah, sometimes it gets to be a bit much, and obviously there are people who are colorful figures out there, I'll say. But at the same time, it's so that's what gaming is about to me. It's about that spontaneous interaction. The social aspects of gaming is what's so fun. And just recently, most multiplayer games have kind of taken that out completely, or at least they've made voice chat so tedious to set up that most people don't even bother turning it on anymore. So having a game that just made it there right off the bat, and so the ease of access and the accessibility and the simple interface and the constant updates. I just played this game yesterday to get some footage because no matter what, anytime I jump in this game, it's funny. It's funny as fuck. Like, here's a clip right here. You ready to kiss some men? Kill some men?
I have no fucking idea how to fly. How do I go up?
You got this, no worries. Just W?
Oh, hey.
One is the roll, so if you move your mouse left.
Oh, we did
I
it!
got this bitch, boys. Don't worry.
Ah, the rope.
Get him, boys. Get him.
Woo!
Oh, shit.
Land me!
We're dead.
Drop
We're
me
dead.
down! Drop me! What the fuck are you doing? I need to go down. I need to go down. I need to go down. Oh, fuck. He's got this. He's got. No, they all died. No matter what, you always run into situations like these. It's incredible. The gameplay is so fun and I don't know. It's an incredible game. There's not much else I could say. I had so much fun playing this with my buddies, and I'm still going to be revisiting this game even into the next year. It's just really cool how a game understood what made online gaming fun in the first place, and I hope more games take note. Dark Souls 3 is the next game I'm going to bring up. Now, I did beat Dark Souls 3 this year twice. And the reason why I'm not including it in the games I beat is because I beat this game probably 2-3 years ago, and I just revisit it all the time. I love the Soulsborne games. All of them. Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I've beaten at least 2 to 3 times now. But 3 is definitely the one I've played the most, and the reason I'm including it in my honorable mentions, despite the fact that I played it just as much this year as I have the previous years, is this is actually the first time I've beaten every boss in the game. Now, I've always beaten the base game, but I'd stop at the second DLC, and I did that 3 times, and I'm not really sure why, because a lot of people love the Ringed City DLC. It's some of their favorite areas, and it's okay. I will say what is good about it in a minute, but I always just got stuck at, those headless two-shot motherfuckers, and the Weeping Angels, and the actual Ringed City itself with the swamp and the big-ass giant who just fucking annoying. I just don't like that area, and I still don't. I finally got through it, but I really don't like that area. It's very tedious. It's very annoying. It's cool to see Alva invade and Lido invade. There's some cool lore, but I usually just want to skip through that area. And there's a lot of stuff I did miss because that's typically where I would quit my playthrough. But this time, no. This time, I made a luck build. Like, I put all my stats into luck. It was a dog shit build, by the way. I was dying in 2 hits, and I did, like, no damage. It was a bad build. Don't get me wrong. But it's the first time I didn't look up builds for this game. I was like, fuck it. I want to do a meme build, and I want to have fun. And even though I died a lot more in this than I probably even did my first time playing the game, it really helped me learn the patterns of the bosses, and I really wanted to finally challenge Madeir and Gale. I had never played Gale before, and finally getting through the DLC, I'm so happy because now I get it. I see why people love it so much and appreciate it, and it really is getting to see Ornstein, or what appears to be Ornstein in that far corner, was a really cool, neat twist and adds a lot of lore complications. It might not be Ornstein, it may just be a Dragon Slayer, but those colors, man, that's just, that really, I never knew that, which is funny because I'm all about the lore of Dark Souls, so seeing that, I was like, what? And then moving past that, obviously the Half-Light's like a dog shit boss, but Madeir was not nearly as hard as people told me it was going to be. It's funny because I did not want to challenge Madeir because every time I watch people do it, it takes them thousands of tries. They're like, oh, this is the hardest boss ever. And I was so intimidated, I never even wanted to give it a chance because I thought I didn't have one. Now, don't get me wrong, it did take me like 20 attempts, but once I did beat it, I was like, that wasn't so bad. Like that was my luck build. This is my dog shit build. Nothing I even do scales against this dragon. And somehow, I think I kind of understood what other people are struggling with, because if you play like Dark Souls 1 or even 2, like with the dragons, oftentimes you kind of want to be behind them and hit their tails, or like you're not always up front because you're afraid of getting smacked around. And it's easier to just kind of hit at their feet where you can see them. At least that's how I feel with like the dragons and the wyverns in the older games. And even some of the dragons in Dark Souls 3 are like the wyverns and whatever. But Madeir is very much, you don't want to be under him. You want to stay at his head and smack his head. And as long as you do that and you learn his moveset, he's just like has a lot of health. So it really is just like if you had to soul level 1 other bosses, it's not difficult in the sense of like actual mechanics typically, like not really. It's mostly just the endurance. So I beat him a lot faster than I thought I would. And Gale probably is the best boss in FromSoft history that I have played. Mind you, I haven't gotten through all of Sekiro. I haven't beaten Elden Ring. I've gotten halfway through Elden Ring, and I haven't played Bloodborne or Demon Souls because I don't have a PlayStation. I know, I'm a fake Souls fan. Fuck off. but I've played all of the Dark Souls games, and I've played them a million times, okay? Because those are the ones I own, and those are ones I always find myself coming back to, because they're so great. And finally being able to say that I've beaten all of Dark Souls 3 bosses, especially when that was the first Dark Souls game that I beat, it really did feel like I finally completed what I had to. I've done almost everything in that game now, and I still want to revisit it. It really shows the quality of Dark Souls 3. And I'm probably going to revisit it again next year. It's just, it's one of those games. The last game I want to bring up, and if you've been annoyed with me rambling about video games, just you wait. New World. New World is an MMO made by Amazon that came out about last year. I actually even talked about it last year on a very different channel that's very dead and defunct now. But I did get to max level 60. I played some of the endgame content at launch, and then I quit, because there wasn't much to do. I saw recently this year that they were actually working on New World, and they added quite a bit of content that I had not been familiar with. There was a new expansion, The Rise of Earth, and I thought, you know what, let's give it a chance. They finally added mounts. I see new areas that look interesting. They got rid of First Light, and I think that's a good thing for reasons that I just don't have time. Trust me, I gotta rant plenty about this game because I'm so happy that I played New World, because it gave me the MMO experience I had been looking for a while. Even if it's not the perfect MMO and it's not the best, don't get me wrong. The only reason I bought New World is because it didn't have a subscription fee. Like, again, RuneScape is always going to be my favorite MMO. I don't think anyone's going to change my mind on old school RuneScape. Like, fuck, that's half my personality. It's what I use all my music and all my videos is old school RuneScape. And if World of Warcraft wasn't subscription based, if they could just sell it to me on fucking Game Pass or something, I'd play it. I'd play it, Blizzard. Stop using subscription based, you fucks. But besides that, that's why I started getting into New World. And I started a new character because I didn't want to start immediately at endgame because I wanted to see what the leveling experience was. And I think they've improved a lot about the new player experience. Leveling was a lot more, it was a lot quicker. It felt a lot better. You didn't have to play through every story mission. There was a lot of skips and there was a lot of new stuff. Not all good, but I do appreciate the attempts that they made, not just to make endgame content for the players that are there, but even for new players. I think they've been really focusing on fixing all aspects about the game, and I really applaud the team for sticking with it. That was the reason why I quit New World initially, is I did not have faith in Amazon with Lost Ark coming out, and I think a lot of people's shared belief that New World was probably going to die. It was probably going to have its base game, have a couple small updates, and then it would die. But they've really, really done an overhaul, not on core issues. I mean, like, every time they fix a bug, they bring in 5 new ones. Don't get me wrong, it's a buggy game. And if anything, that makes it funnier. But the new content, I feel like they really made dungeons worth it. The defense raids and a lot of the PvP content has gotten fleshed out even more, but I still think there's enough PvE content for the people who don't want to get into that sweaty ass fucking PvP shit, because I'm still bad at PvP, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of these systems I found very interesting, and after getting to max level 65, I maxed out my writing skill, I maxed out my wood cutting, I maxed out was it harvesting? It was another one. I maxed out quite a few skills because even it finally did what no other MMO usually does for me. Typically, I get to a certain point and I'm done. But with New World, the endgame content was genuinely something I went for. I wanted to get new stuff, and beyond that, I finally got to meet people. I always feel like when I play MMOs, especially RuneScape, it's a solo experience for me. It's just I just don't really run into the right people. Maybe every now and then there's a funny interaction, but I never find a guild or people that I really want to stick with. And New World, I finally found that. Mind you, I had to join the Syndicate, a bunch of purple losers that like science, which is sad because I was planning to join my Holy Boys again, that I did on my last game. But even so, I don't really mind because by joining the purple guys, I got to interact with a really fun guild. I think by this year now, we've kind of gone defunct and we're going to be switching to a new guild or company. But even then, the time I spent in this group, which was named We Need Therapy, it was so fun. And all the memories, I have so many screenshots. One day, I just want to make a video talking about my time with New World because, oh my gosh, it was so fun meeting new people, being part of a guild, being a viable tank, people complimenting me for being a tank because... to be honest, I play a tank in games because it's brain dead. I just bring in all the mobs and have them hit me while I take no damage because I'm tanky as fuck. But having people compliment me and actually learning the dungeons, doing good pulls, it was great. I felt very useful to the team, and I just felt happy about that. New World does probably host some of my more favorite memories of the year, and I wanted to share one that really just incentivized why I kept playing the game past max level. So as I was playing with my guild, I'm going to bring in a few names here. I had a friend, Keihitsu and Moon. And we were going out to this area, this like lion's den, because the lion dropped a best in slot weapon. Best in slot meaning like, obviously it's the best legendary item you can get. It's a very low drop rate. I don't think anyone even knows the percentage. The lion spawns every 6 minutes, and I believe you can only get the item once, and it's not tradable. So the only way you can get it is by grinding on this boss, or not boss, it's like a mini boss and a world boss, if you will. And, if you have about 4 or more people, it's pretty doable. It's a little difficult if it's 3 or less, but it's still doable, mind you. And you just keep grinding it until you eventually get the drop. The reason we were going there is because Moon, specifically, she really wanted this drop. She had been trying to level up her flail, and she had some goals. She was the type of player that would mostly grind out a skill and do no story level content, not really leveling up anything else, just about the money. Rich people. I was always at like 200 coins, but I was just trying to get my levels up and whatever. I didn't even have a house. I was homeless. But yeah, I just kind of played as this little hobo tank boy, and Moon was definitely like a mixed DPS moneymaker, but she really wanted this flail. And so we were like, all right, let's go in and let's grind it out. I got it on my second try. I got the drop just to buy like 12 minutes of farming, and I didn't even want it. I mean, I like flails. I started using flails because of it, but like I wasn't even like that interested in it. It was a dumb meatball on a stick, and it is really good, mind you. Don't get me wrong. It's a good ass flail, but I could just tell how pissed Moon was because she's the one that was trying to get it. Everyone else has been getting it on their first and second drop, and we grind for about an hour, and the drop just doesn't come. Kay has to go because it's getting late, and he has work in the morning, so he leaves. Other people in the group are slowly leaving because we had about 6 people, and slowly it was just me and Moon. And for hours, I had work that morning, but I was like, you know what? Because I got the flail, and because I really want my company member to get this, we're doing this. I'm staying up all night, and we're gonna get this. And I could tell she was getting like discouraged. She was kind of about to give up. I was like, no. We're not stopping until you get this flail. So for hours, it was just me and her. And mind you, we don't have a healer. It's just 2 people hitting this world boss that typically requires 4 or more people. It was tough. It was really tough. We almost died after every 6 minutes. It was like a hard mode boss every 6 minutes. We had to really focus in. And every time that she didn't get the drop, we just sat there for another 6 minutes. We're like, all right, we'll wait. We're gonna get this drop. Eventually we just started kind of like having fun. We started leveling our music because there was nothing else to do between this time. I think I got mine to like level 120. Hers was like 160. It was crazy. We got our levels up so far because we grinded for 4 fucking hours that night and we didn't get the drop. It was the worst part. It was like 4 or 5 a.m. I had work in 3 hours and I was like, fuck. I really was sad. It was so sad we didn't get the flail. But the next couple of days, we went back at it. We had an even bigger group. It took another hour of grinding, and she finally got the flail. And it was such a big moment. It was so relieving. I remember she was like, I'm never touching this fucking game again. She did take a break too for like a week, mind you, but it was a fun memory, and I really enjoyed all the time I've spent with my guild members, all of them. My best moments were doing mutations with Kay, Moon, Beersy, and Nevi. Like, they were incredible. Nevi was the best, and still is probably the best healer in New World I have ever had the pleasure of meeting, and I'm so happy she's part of our group. Not just because she's good at the game, but she's fun to hang out with. And like, yeah, she pretty much makes up for all of our dumbass mistakes, because some of us are pretty terrible at the game. Me. Kay is really fun to play with. He's the one that I think I connected with the most in the guild. He was like a bruiser, so a DPS and a tank. He was fun because he would always fill in the role that no one else could, really. He was like, oh, okay, I'll switch to tank, or I'll switch to DPS, or, you know, he'd always relocate his stats. He was a really nice guy. And it was always fun running content with him. He would always do content just to help other people out too. He was one of the people that, even though he didn't need the flail, he went out with me and Moon just to help her get it. So just really nice guy. Beersy is insane with the rapier. He's such a good DPS, and we always brought him in. And he was just also a really fun, down to earth guy. I would run dungeons sometimes with him, even when no one else was available, and just me as a tank and him as a DPS. Even if we had a bad healer, we made it work. We made it work because we were all goats. Like, we need therapy. We were the goats of PvE content. PvP, we kind of sucked. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe Nevi was good, and the rest of us, we sucked. Fat dick. We were so bad. But, you know, it's also because we had PvE armor and weapons that were about, you know, pulling aggro and other types of stats, what have you. But as much as I haven't really played New World in the past month or so, what really got me into the game, and what has kind of made me want to come back to it now that there are new updates again, is not so much about the updates or the content or really the game itself. It's the friends I've made and the memories I have with it. I feel like that's what MMOs are ultimately all about. And finally getting that experience myself was enjoyable, you know? Like, obviously, like I said, yes, RuneScape's my favorite MMO, but it's probably because it doesn't feel like an MMO to me. RuneScape is like just a single player open world where you click things and it has funny stories. you don't really do it with friends. At least I don't. I don't know about y'all, but like, there's not a lot of multi-combat areas. It's mostly just you against one little enemy. You dance in a party room. You pop balloons. You give gold to newer players. You scam other players. That's RuneScape. New World really was fundamentally an MMO in the ways where it counted. And it's probably the one I want to stick with long term. Even though there's others I do want to try out eventually, I am very grateful for my time I spent with New World this year. And like I said, it was great.
Guys, we gotta get this cannon right. Fuck the bear.
Left, can you please take the trap down?
Caliber right.
Bear mid, bear mid, bear mid.
Bear off me.
We have 2 bears. Who gives a
Bombers
fuck
on
about a
left.
bear on
Right
mid?
side one. Fuck this bear, guys.
Trap down.
We got a sprint right.
Take it
Second bear on left.
Gate needs repair. It's halfway.
Right side, get the fuck off these bears. We don't give a shit about the bears. Focus everything else. We're just fucking
Alright,
focusing
E-gate,
on
E-gate, E-gate, E-gate's falling.
E-gate, repair it, please.
That's my side.
How many parts are you
He's
at?
mad. Fuck you, dude.
Guys,
I'm
for
not
being
Commander,
here,
actually.
there will be
Yeah, it's fine.
payouts.
Let's
I believe Eldest is doing the
go!
payout.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. That's all there is to
Good
it.
job, guys. If I could kiss every boy in this call, I would.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
Always kiss your boy.
Yeah, kiss the boys. All right, take
Good night,
care,
guys.
guys. Good night.
Night, audio.
Steven, we won.
Let's go, dudes.
Yeah. Moving on to movies. This is probably the biggest category. I watched 36 movies this year. I was unemployed for about a month. If you may have seen my past uploads, you would know that I said I had a month, or that I was currently unemployed, and so I was gonna start working on videos. Instead, I binged about like 15 Godzilla movies with my buddy Sam. Like I didn't work on videos, guys. I'm sorry. I did jack shit there. I obviously I was a little depressed, and so I was just watching a lot of movies. I'm not going to talk about every movie. I'm actually going to keep this a lot shorter and concise. I'm just going to pull up the ones that left an impression on me, and we're going to start with movies that came out this year, or at least that I think came out late last year to this year. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That was a fun one, and that reminded me my joy of trilogies. Stuff like the Star Wars trilogy, the Indiana Jones trilogy. Guardians 3, it definitely had a darker theme than the previous two, but it did give Rocket some much needed development that we haven't seen from him. It was fun. It was like Rocket's story, and it really did cap off the series in a way that it should have. Obviously, Marvel movies had been getting extremely oversaturated, and past Endgame, there weren't a lot of good Marvel movies in general. It just needed to end. And I'm glad that with James Gunn, he didn't try to prolong Guardians longer than it really had to. Obviously, as much as I still did enjoy this movie, there were signs of the kind of modern issues with Marvel movies and what have kind of been making them bad. Like the new characters, the unfunny humor, like there were definitely there were traces, but I do feel like Guardians ended at the perfect point, and it had enough of that old feel that like I genuinely think it was a great movie, and it was a fun way to finally end the series. It had a great soundtrack as well, and yeah, it was finally good to say goodbye to this crew that we had been watching for a while, and it was fun. I really appreciated this movie. The next movie I saw was Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I think everyone was surprised by this movie because DreamWorks, as much as they have good movies, it just felt like the Shrek movies were kind of like, I don't know, they were losing their charm. Obviously, the first one's great, the second one's great, the third one was kind of weird. Puss in Boots, the first movie, was so forgettable. I didn't care at all about the Puss in Boots movie, so I really expected nothing from this film. Even though I watched it kind of a little past theaters, I didn't watch it in theaters, and I heard all these great things about the movie, and I was like, yeah, but it's, DreamWorks and whatever, and I was wildly surprised at how great this film was. I watched it about 5 times. Like, I bought it the second I could. I watched it with all different people, because it really did show me, like, that people are taking notes. We're gonna get down the list, obviously, but, like, Spider-Verse has greatly impacted animated films in the right direction. I was worried about animated films because it's all preference, obviously. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just not a fan of 3D Disney animation, the bubbly stuff, the Pixar stuff. I don't like the direction it's gone in. It feels I don't know, it feels very creatively bankrupt to me. And so seeing this very stylized visuals and seeing that bleed in, because it wasn't through the whole movie, but it was mostly through the fight scenes, seeing the choppy stop motion and the stylistic nature in Puss in Boots was great. And beyond that, the story was just really good. It really showed Puss in Boots, he's an asshole, and it's true, he's an asshole, but then kind of him acknowledging that and being, learning to be better, learning to be vulnerable with his friends. It was a great story. It was a great story. Death was awesome. Jack Horner is the funniest fucking villain because he's evil for the sake of evil, and the fact that they had no fucks given with just how dark some of the shit went, like baby unicorn horns and shit. God, it was such a good film, and it really, for a kid's film, it was crazy. And I was set on it being probably the best film of the year. Then Across the Spider-Verse came out. Mind you, the first time I saw Across the Spider-Verse, I wasn't a huge fan. I just didn't know how to feel because it definitely didn't go in the direction I wanted to, which is not a bad thing. I still think it was a great film. There's only two things I can really complain about. The first thing was Ben Reilly's character, the Scarlet Spider. I get what they're trying to do, the overdramatic, but I feel like most Spider comic people are overdramatic. And his comic for a lot of people is definitely one of the better ones, the ones where people do kind of really feel for Ben because what he goes through being a clone and having to take up this mantle and this kind of this reputation and just his tragedy and how most of his endings always do end in tragedy. He never gets a good ending. So he rightfully is kind of a cynical and sad person. But kind of how they made fun of that. I get it. It's not offensive to me. It's a fucking cartoon. Who cares? It just felt like missed opportunity. I felt like he could have shined a little bit better. But all the other characters were great. The only other issue I had with Across the Spider-Verse is how it ends. I just wanted to see more. And I think that's why I wasn't a huge fan by the end of it. I was pissed off because I was mad that it ended by not ending. I just wanted to see more. And obviously, next year coming up, we're going to get the next part 2. And it was an incredible film. An incredible film. Nothing more I could say that people haven't already said. Barbie was the next movie I saw. And funny enough, it wasn't really a film that was for me. I don't know how to explain this. Obviously, it was a little bit... I'll say it like this. I came for Ryan Gosling. And because I love him. And because my family really wanted to watch it. And as much as it's not really a movie that was made for me, I'm glad it isn't. Because I didn't grow up with Barbies. I grew up with Legos and fucking Transformers and Rescue Heroes and shit. That was me growing up. And we have those movies. We have Transformers. We have the Lego movie. We have all of those turned into movies. So it doesn't have to be made. It's already been made. But there aren't a lot of movies playing off of the nostalgia or growing up for girls. Like my sister and my mom, who all played with Barbies growing up. And they loved the movie. And I'm very happy. And honestly, watching it with them and for them was great because it showed me that people can make films for other people. And even though it's not going to apply to everyone, I don't think it's a bad movie at all. It may have not been made for me, so I'm not going to like everything that's in it, or I'm not going to be as interested. But compared to how it was marketed and how it really felt like it was going to be a shitty film, I was very surprised with the direction it went. I do feel like it was a very well-made film. It was one that really did know its history of the icon. It was very self-aware too. It didn't try to play up Barbie the same way a lot of its previous and other media has. It did kind of tie into the issues Barbie actually brought on society and stuff, kind of, whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. I'm not going to get political here. I just really thought it was a fun movie, and Ryan Gosling as Ken, it was the perfect casting. He was so funny. I could just watch compilations of just him. It was so good. I need this jacket. I need this right now. Fuck. TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, was probably one of the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies just ever. My favorite one's still the live action one. I have bias, I have nostalgia, but I kind of like that they made this film in this way where it was made for the newer generations. It does have a lot of like Gen Z humor and like newer stuff, but it still had enough to keep older fans interested. It wasn't afraid of doing something completely new without absolutely shitting on older properties, and I feel like that was the right way to do it, because TMNT, obviously, ever since it's been under Nickelodeon, it's had a lot of different versions of itself, and it's been kind of mixed. It's not bad, it's just different, and it can never last. And this film, one, again, Spider-Verse style, thank you, animation was great. Story was like, alright, but it didn't over-rely on like the conventional norms of the previous series to hold up on its own. It was the first one where the turtles feel like fucking teenagers. It's in their name, and even the original comic, they don't feel like teenagers, bro. They feel like fucking adult assassins. So I guess it was just cool to see something that was how it was supposed to be in a way, you know? And Donnie was a fucking savage. I loved him. He's my favorite boy, and he always will be. Good movie. The last movie I saw that came out this year was the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and again, I feel like this year was just full of surprises. I feel like there's a pattern where you see Puss in Boots, you see Barbie, you see TMNT, and now FNAF. Movies where, well, maybe not TMNT, but like the others where it's like, you didn't really expect much from them. You probably expected them to suck. And I think FNAF is the best example of, it wasn't a great film for everyone, but for fans, it was a really good movie. It didn't over-rely on lore, as some might be worried about, because that's, you know, it's funny jump scare bear game that has very convoluted lore. And because its story is so complex and kind of contradicts itself a lot of people were worried about how this was going to turn out. And, you know, how are they really going to set this up? Is this going to be like other video game movies that just don't really understand their properties? And I guess this year too, a lot of the video game to movies did it right. And this one was also, I thought it did it really well. It was an interesting story. Again, I don't feel like it was a movie that was going to be for everyone. I'm sure there are some people who didn't grow up with FNAF and felt kind of confused, but I did grow up with Five Nights at Freddy's. It was actually my first video ever made on YouTube. About 11 years ago, Five Nights at Freddy's in real life. One day I will share that with you. For now, we're going to keep it in the back burner. But yeah, I have a lot of history with FNAF. And, you know, finally seeing a movie after it and seeing the actual care and love that went into it, I appreciate that. And it was fun. I saw it twice. I saw it with my sister, who also really enjoyed it. It was great. It was great. I didn't bring up the Mario movie. I also watched that, and that was good too. Again, there's just too many movies, but a lot of good movies this year. Then focusing on movies that didn't come out this year, but just some highlights. The Indiana Jones trilogy was one I've always loved. I also did see Dial of Destiny this year, and it was alright. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And I wanted to rewatch just to kind of get prepared for Dial of Destiny. I went back and watched all of the Indiana Jones, from the Raiders of the Lost Ark all the way to Crystal Skull. And I'm not a fan of Crystal Skull. I didn't remember it much, and unfortunately, I think I dislike it more after rewatching it, because now I'm not a kid and I can point out its flaws, which is unfortunate because I don't think it's like the worst movie in the world, but it just doesn't compare to the trilogy, man. And I forgot how good these films were. I completely forgot about the second movie. I feel like I never had seen it before. And that was the best part about watching Indiana Jones again, was that I, at my adult age, got to watch an Indiana Jones movie as if it were for the first time, because I hadn't seen it in that long. It was exciting. I didn't remember hardly anything. So it like, who else can say like they can rewatch the original Star Wars for the first time, right? Like, we always wish we could erase our minds and rewatch those movies for the first time and get that experience we did when we were kids. And I got to with this film, the Temple of Doom, and I really appreciate it. It was awesome, and I love Temple. They're great movies, but again, they're old. Everyone's seen them, but getting to revisit them, there's a reason why back in July I wanted to make a video on them to kind of just explain to people what made them so good. And I still have my notes and scripts for it, so maybe one day they'll come out. Who knows? The next movie was Gojira 1954. This is when I started binging the Godzilla movies because my buddy Sam is a huge fan. And, he was going to go to G-Fest this year, and so I was like, fuck it. Let's watch them. Let's watch as many as we can. And we did. We watched at least 20. I didn't get to all the eras. I'm pretty sure I was only in the first era of Godzilla movies. And I will admit I'm not the hugest fan. I do think that the ones in the middle, it gets oversaturated. They start reusing scenes. Like, it does become just funny monster movie. But the first movie, I will advocate for it. And Sam will too. I'm sure Sam could go off for hours on this. But I'm going to give my 2 cents here. Because I always just thought that that's all Godzilla was. It was kind of just a cheap, fun monster destroys city movie for kids, or just for people who like seeing things go boom, which is fine, you know? But I was very surprised at how this franchise started. And obviously, there are a lot of Godzilla movies for a reason. There's an obvious appeal to them that goes beyond just the funny movie, because if that's all it was, they wouldn't still be making movies to this day. You know, because there's so many other properties that did the same thing, or at least did the same thing on a surface level, and they stopped. None of them are continuing to this day. Watching Gojira 1954 was honestly like a very interesting experience, because it was a lot slower of a film. It had a lot of intent and purpose, and obviously, I guess it's obvious now, but I never knew that this was, in a way, Japan's response and kind of like a reaction to the tragedy and the effects of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and what they went through in those nuclear wars. And that's what Godzilla kind of represents. And when Godzilla first starts smashing through the city, I mean, it gets a little more glorified in other films, sure, where like, it's like, yeah, he's breaking shit, that's cool. This film really does show just like how evil it was and how it affected people. And despite coming out in 1954, the emotion you got, you get to the hospital scene where kids are crying, everybody, like, I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. This is a funny lizard movie, but like, it really had a lot of heart and emotion, and I was so wildly surprised at just how, like, I guess how impactful this movie really is, and why I think most people should watch it. I mean, I've seen the original Kong and like other big monster movies, and none of them have ever hit that emotion that Gojira did, at least to me. It gave me a newfound appreciation for monster movies and for kaiju movies, and seeing just why they started getting big in the first place. This was an incredible film, and absolutely incredible. I think everybody should watch it. The other monster movie, as much as I watched a bunch of them, the only one I want to bring up is Mothra vs. Godzilla. Mothra is biased. Mothra is my favorite kaiju. I mean, I feel like she represents obviously the weakness and vulnerability, but also the strength and fortitude of parental/parental love and love for humanity. It's the response to kind of oppose those forces, like Godzilla, like Ghidorah, like all of those. And although the original Mothra movie isn't really anything to write home about, it's kind of just goofy to me. Like, I like laughing at it, but I don't think it's impactful. Mothra vs. Godzilla was, I feel like, a standard for what versus movies should be for monsters. The first one, I think, was like Kong versus Godzilla, and it was okay, but you could tell it was the first of their kind, and they're kind of figuring it out. But Mothra vs. Godzilla, it had a really strong narrative, a decent human story, and I felt like the fight, it really pulled out the strengths and weaknesses of both Godzilla and Mothra. For Mothra, her weakness is her love for defending humans, for the people she cares about, even when it's a losing battle, because she's not the strongest kaiju. Obviously, she could never beat Godzilla in a one-on-one fight, so she does everything she can and ultimately dies because of it, but she leaves those seeds of, like, her children, those eggs, so that her legacy can always continue, that she can always protect people even past her life. And then having the two twins come in and overpower Godzilla due to his overconfidence and just his overall lack of, I guess, like, intelligence, and his lack of like other kind of flaws that make up Godzilla, and his lack of empathy, is how they end up beating him. And I thought that was cool. I do think the final scene, it's a little drawn out. It's like, I think it's like 10 minutes long, just them shooting string at him. But knowing that they were able to protect the children that were on the island, it was a nice, heartwarming movie. It was not like the best movie ever made, obviously, or like one of the best. It was just, I feel like that's what versus movies should be about. It should have a strong enough motivation. The kaiju should have a reason to fight beyond just not liking each other, besides asserting dominance. And there should be key motivators that make these scenes cohesive. And I think that Mothra vs. Godzilla had that. So it was a good watch. The last movie, I had never seen it before, Pulp Fiction. And obviously, I think a lot of people that have seen it, again, there's not much I could say that would, like, that hasn't already been said about why the movie's so good. But it really did impress me. I mean, like, I always hear references, I see references, and they say the N-word a lot. I can tell you that much. A lot. Despite that, it was a very interesting thing. I didn't even know Bruce Willis was in it. And he was such a good character. He was, like, one of the most important characters in the film. And I do think that, like, there were some conversations in the movie. I should get this across. I don't like the majority of the movie. I don't love the majority of the movie. It's specific scenes that stick out to me that really, like, impressed me. A lot of the monologue with Samuel L. Jackson and like how he learns why he needs to move on in life. How John Travolta's character doesn't really learn and it ends up being his downfall. How Butch's character, Bruce Willis's character, how like he always kind of was someone who was beaten down and he just like, he wants to, he wants to be known in the world. He wants to be known as somebody. And like you can feel that. You can relate to almost all the characters. And yeah, it obviously was a well-made film, but again, there's nothing I could say that hasn't already been said. Just kind of pointing out that I finally watched it, and I'm glad I did. Now, mostly I've just talked about media, and that's all I really planned on talking about, but it really was a good year, just in terms of, like, media and things to enjoy. And despite the fact that, yeah, obviously, like I said, this was the worst year of my life, for personal reasons. Getting to talk about for nearly an hour now. Holy shit. For about an hour, I've just been talking about things I enjoy. All just about what happened for 2023. That's kind of nice to know. I feel like it's, if anything, you should take note from that. That no matter how bad the years get, no matter how bad things go around us, there's always something good that we can reminisce or, remind ourselves about. The memories, the games, the movies, the things we learn from those pieces of media. It is really something that I feel like can build us back up and keep us going. And I know for sure that that's what's keeping me going. And I'm looking forward to next year. This is probably the first time I'm actually looking forward to a new year. Usually I'm like, what does this change? And it's true. Virtually nothing changes beyond the date on a calendar. But despite that, you still get this weird internal feeling that it's a chance to start anew on things. And I do have a few resolutions, some that I've already started. My biggest one is I am not going to buy any new video games all year. I have 214 games in my Steam library. I have like at least 40 console games, if that, probably 50. I have a lot of games, and I have not played a majority of them. As you've noted, I only really beat 6 new games this year, or maybe even just 5 that like I hadn't played before or beaten before. And I really want to get through my library because, well, usually when I finally get around to just playing a game, I do enjoy it. But I've noticed I've had this really bad, this bad habit of buying new games because they go on sale, because Steam obviously has a bunch of sales, and realizing I've spent way too much money on Steam. There are a lot of games I have yet to appreciate and I have yet to play through. And so I have 213 games on Steam. And starting January 1st of 2024 and ending in December 30th, 31st, whatever, of 2024, whatever the fuck. Sorry, I'm stupid. I want that number to stay at 213. In fact, it may even go down. Who knows? Maybe I'll remove games off my account because of how egregious they are. I do that sometimes. But so long as that number never goes up, as long as my games number stays at 213 or lower, then I will have achieved my goal. We'll see what happens by the end of this year. That is my main goal. My other goal is a personal one. And it has to do with my career. And let's be I try to keep my personal things off of YouTube, but this isn't too personal. I can kind of go into it. Growing up, I never cared about my career. I mainly just kind of floated around through life. I've worked a lot of jobs, but most of them are entry-level jobs that aren't something that is going to sustain me into the future of my life. I'm still fairly young, but I feel like I've gotten to an age where I really want to make a decision on where I'm going to go long term so that I can start sustaining myself financially so that I don't have to worry about that in the future. I feel like that type of responsibility needs to take root, and everyone starts at a different point in time, but I think right now is my time to do so. I've been looking into trade school, I've been looking into apprenticeship programs, and the reason why I like that structure opposed to college, which I had tried in the past, is because college doesn't necessarily ensure you get the job that you're looking to set for. It mostly just kind of gives you a better chance. It gives you the knowledge to acquire those skills, but you also can be stuck with a lot of debt, and the uncertainty is what scares me and what demotivates me really from putting all that effort into those courses. And that's when I learned about acquiring trades and doing an apprenticeship program through a union, because it's very similar to college in the sense that you do about 4 years. But as far as I know, it's a bit, I still have limited knowledge, but as far as I know, it also has the ability, you get paid as you're doing it. So instead of losing money to, like textbooks and courses and all of that and financial aid and whatever, you actually get paid for the schooling you do, and they immediately start you as an apprentice, obviously, behind watching other people doing it. So kind of like on-site work. And after 4 or 5 years, when you do it, you end up getting a journeyman's license, and the sky's the limit. But even if you want to play it safe, you can just stay within the union and you have a job. That's my understanding of it. If anyone knows anything more, correct me if I'm wrong, please, because I am investing a lot of time in this, and I want to make sure I get it right, because that's still my fears that it doesn't work out, and that's okay. I can figure something else out. But I've looked at different trades, and I wanted to be an electrician, but now I really want to be a maintenance plumber in residential areas. I feel like that is my ultimate goal. Whether I stay in union or I try to start my own business, we'll find that out along the way. But I have been studying for the aptitude tests so that I can get the highest scores possible in hopes of getting a shot at being an apprentice as a maintenance plumber. I've been watching a lot of videos that have been trying to prep me into the trade to learn as much as I can about it, because I am very serious about this. This is what I want my career to be. YouTube is fun. It's a good hobby. I love dedicating a lot of my free time towards it because it's just something I really enjoyed, and I've always enjoyed ever since I was a kid. But I never wanted it to be a job. I think it's a very uncertain job. It can end at any point, and I would probably be stuck with nothing if I were to lose that, obviously. And also, building a audience is one thing, but maintaining that audience, especially I've learned this year, maintaining that audience is very difficult. You can get a video that gets 23,000 views, but if you don't follow it up with similar content, or, with something of that caliber of quality or relevancy, you're probably not going to maintain those numbers. As much as my Halo rant video was genuine, and I think that's why people gravitated towards it, I didn't want to be a Halo content creator. I didn't want to be a talking about relevant topics at the time content creator. I want to do whatever the fuck I want. I want to do every type of video, as noted. Funny gameplay videos with friends, memes, hour-long retrospectives, controversial hot takes. I want to do whatever I do. There's no consistency on this channel. This is for fun. And it's always going to be that way, I think that's how I'm always going to treat YouTube and enjoy it. I'm probably never going to stop experimenting because I'm not trying to cultivate an audience. I'm just trying to make someone's day, or just do something nice. That's the goal. Always been the goal. So because of that, I think it's safe to say for about the next 6 to 8 months, I will be taking a break from YouTube. I will not be making videos because I want to dedicate all my time towards getting into this apprenticeship program or coming up with a plan B so that my career is being set towards a very steady, stable, and satisfying path. Once I'm there, I will start making videos again. And mind you, I don't think that's going to take 6 months. I really don't. It could, but I'm very confident this is only going to take a couple months. I kind of want to make a backlog of videos, so to speak, though. I want to dedicate different times for different types of videos, see what I enjoy the most, see what I don't. In September is when I want to talk about solely Dark Souls games, topics about it. I may only make 1 video, I may make 10. But regardless of how many I make, I'm not going to post anything Dark Souls related until September, which is going to be my Souls month. November is going to be my Halo month. I do plan, and I will do it, I'm holding myself to it, I will make my love letter to Halo that I talked about in the beginning of the year in my Halo Rant video. I have had that scripted for the longest time. I've revised it multiple times, and I'm gonna make it. I do want to make that Halo love letter. I also kind of want to talk about the current state of Halo and other things just Halo related. I love the series, you know? And there's a lot of different topics, but I don't really want to promise or talk about the project ideas that I've already written down or started working on. Because one, most of them I'm going to put on hold now that I'm working towards my career. And like I said, I may work on 10 of the ideas I have of the Dark Souls videos. I may only make one, just depending on the time, depending on the effort and the time it makes those videos. I just don't know yet. So because of that, there's just a lot of uncertainty. All I can confirm is for the first half of this year, even if I am making videos, I may post to the second channel if it's like a 5-minute funny video with friends. Other than that, this main channel is going to be on hiatus for the time being. And that is a decision I feel actually very comfortable making. I think it's the best choice I could make for my personal life. And I'm very grateful for what I learned from this year, especially for YouTube, the criticism, the comments, everything about you guys. I've enjoyed all of the time that I've spent. Like I said, despite being the worst year of my life, this was probably the best year for YouTube for me. And I really appreciate that. And I think very fondly of that. And I thank you for sitting through this hour-long ramble of the year. God, what a blessed soul. What the fuck? Why'd you do that? Like, I hope you know you're the only person that did that, by the way. No one else fucking did that. They stopped at like 10 minutes. They heard me like, what? What, he's talking about New World? Nah, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm watching fucking Naked Jakey. Get out of this shit. Like, what's this dog shit channel? So, I appreciate you. Thank you. Before I close out this video, I wanted to just shout out a few friends. Ones that I feel like you should check out for very specific reasons. I'll say for each one. Starting out, my buddy Sam's YouTube channel. As I mentioned earlier with the Godzilla movies, my buddy Sam, he loves Godzilla. He's also funny as fuck, dude. I cannot think of a funnier kid than this motherfucker. I love Sam. I met him in Overwatch about a couple of years ago. We were like, me and my friends were trolling on it, and he was the only person, instead of getting upset at us, he played along. We added him. Ever since then, him and I both could just talk for hours to each other about the dumbest shit, man. Like, or just about things we really enjoy. And Sam finally started making YouTube videos. Now, I think he's told me too that like he's not going to be consistent about it. They're very of a colorful. They're very colorful. We'll just put it in that. They're very interesting and very funny, and a lot of them have a lot of inside jokes, so you might not get it all, but you should still watch it, goddammit, because if you ever like 2008 YouTube, if you like old school YouTube, if you like memes that look like they came from that time, you will love Sam's YouTube channel. It is funny, although he doesn't have a schedule and he posts very sporadically. Anytime he does post, it never ceases to make me laugh my ass off. I love his channel. It's a blessing. And I feel like he deserves it, and you deserve to go check it out. The next channel I'm going to be shouting out is my friend Abby's YouTube channel. Now, I would give you the name of the channel opposed to just her name, but she's been changing the fucking name every month. What the fuck, Abby? It was like Jinx at one point, then it was Teeth. Now it's this. I think it's this. Who knows? Maybe by the time I upload this video, it's going to be something else. Anyways, the link should be consistent in the description if you check that. But the image on screen may not be what it looks like by the time you see this video, because she keeps rebranding. Even so, Abby is probably the most consistent uploader out of all my friends that I know, and I think that's a great thing. Now, she does post furry art. No, it's not going to be for everyone, and it's not necessarily the things I love to watch, but I do think that as an artist, she is very creative. She's very good at what she does, and I do think that she does deserve more views, more attention because of the effort she puts in. A lot of it is a hobby for her, same as this is a hobby for me, but in her medium, I do think she's very passionate. I think she's very creative, and even if it's not my thing, I do appreciate how much her art has improved over the years, because of how dedicated she is at making animations, at doing different things, at learning things. And she's always been a great friend to me ever since I met her. And she's actually one of my only friends that lived through a now defunct group channel out of all the ones that I have made. And I kind of appreciate that. And it's nice to, have done the live stream with her last month. And hopefully, like, in time, I can make more videos collab with her. But you should still go at least sub to the channel. Come on, it doesn't hurt clicking a button. I think she deserves it because she's probably one of the hardest working when it comes to video making out of all of my buds that I know. The last two that I wanted to shout out are Nevi and Keihitsu's Twitch channel. Bam, right there. These are my company members, and they do Twitch streams, and follow them. Now, this isn't a choice, by the way. You got this far in the video, you have to do it. It's now your God-given obligation. You don't want to disappoint God, do you? Go follow them now. Every now and then I'll hop on. Nevi typically will stream New World or Teamfight Tactics. Usually when she's on New World, if she's doing dungeons, sometimes you'll find me there. So if you want to see me goofing off as a tank, we've had a lot of funny moments there, and it's been a lot of fun. And she deserves the love. She deserves, the followers. She's actually recently been trying to save up money, I think, to move into a new apartment. And it would mean the world, not just to me, but to her, to really anyone, if you could show any kind of support. You don't have to, by the way. I'm not telling you you have to. That is completely up to you. I will not force you to do anything. But if you decide that you would like to do that, I'm just pointing out, it's always greatly appreciated. And, just know that it does mean a lot. That's all I really want to say. That, like, no more the promo stuff. It's just like just pointing it out there. Keihitsu, he streams a lot of variety stuff. I think he's done Finals, Valorant, New World as well. He doesn't stream, I think, as often, but when he does, it usually is just a very chill and fun stream. I know maybe live streaming isn't for everyone. I'm not even huge on watching a lot of live streams, but of course I still want to support my friends, and I know that there are plenty of people out there who if you're going to watch a 1 hour video on YouTube, the odds are you might be down to watch, a longer live stream because they're around the same amount of time. So, if you could, go ahead and drop follows for both of them. Every now and then I hop on to their streams and I usually, interact with them. So if you ever want to see me there, there's a chance I'll be there. And yeah, they're both just really kind and fun people to be around. And as far as live stream go, I think they're pretty creative and they're very responsive too. So if you ever talk or interact in the chats, they're not going to ignore you. They're always going to interact, say hi. So just feel free to do so whenever you can. I believe those are all the shoutouts. That was everything I had to say. This was a lot longer. I expected this to be a 20-minute video. I'm looking at my audio recording device and we are at 1 hour 20. What the fuck? I talk too much. And I've got to go to work. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are having a fantastic end of your year. I hope that you can reflect not just on the bad, but on the good, what you can learn from it. I hope you all have a great rest of the new year. I hope to see you all nearing the, end of the next year, because I won't be around. But I do appreciate all the support, everyone that's watched, everything you guys have done. It has been incredible. You've made this so much better of a year than it would have been without you. So, I appreciate it. Thank you. As always, be sure to stay hydrated. Never stop. Just take care.